It's time for us to kick off this year's Android Dev Summit. And to start off, we have another episode of The Android Show with me, your host, Carrie Byron. This year's summit is all about building excellent apps across devices. And coming up in today's keynote, you'll get a peek into the world of Team Android, our very own Android Avengers, and the tools that they're building to help developers heed the call to restore order and stability to apps across the Androidverse. Speaking of which, I've created a Team Jetpack superhero alter ego of my own. From now on, you can refer to me as Captain Curiosity, traveling down YouTube rabbit holes at the speed of... Why? Houston? We may have a compilation error. Team Jetpack. Can I get a little help over here? Team Jetpack. Assemble!
Let's do this.
That's more like it. Yeah! Get 'em! We beat the bug!
Together!
I helped. Whoa! That was wild! Heck yeah! Hey, let me keep the laser glove. All right, so coming up, we'll be hearing about how to build excellent apps using the latest tools in modern Android development, like Compose, as well as the latest news on updates to help you extend your app across devices to new form factors. But first, kicking off this keynote, we'll hear from Sagar, who will share with you some of the updates on where the Android team is headed this year. And it all starts right now, right here, from our fortress of Coditude. Oh, thanks. You're my hero. Oh my God, it's cold. Better.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today at the 2021 Android Dev Summit. I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe, and the team and I are really looking forward to the day we could all meet again in person. I wanted to give a special hello to our GDE and GDG communities and Women TechMaker ambassadors who are championing Android and joining us from around the world. While the last year and a half has brought many challenges, one of the bright spots has been seeing the way developers like you have responded. The app experiences that you build have helped people around the world in ways we couldn't have imagined. Let's take a look at a few apps created by Android developers in our community. Starting with Gaston Sayen, an Android GDE from Cordoba, Argentina. Gaston created a food delivery app called Ulala that enables users to get food delivered to their loved ones all over Argentina. Joe Birch from the UK built an accessible guitar to help the mute, deaf, and blind learn to play the guitar using a combination of a built-in speaker, screen, and a braille reader. And Khushbu Agarwal started an Indian healthcare startup called Zyla, which provides personalized care to patients with chronic illnesses. Khushbu, Gaston, and Joe are great examples of focusing on the user, understanding their needs, and then building experiences to delight them. This spirit is what drives us at Google and our work on Android. At the end of the day, our goal is to build a platform that we and all of you love to use every day, and one that billions of people around the world will also love. We're very excited about the advancements we made this year on Android. With Android 12, we've taken a user-first design approach that is centered all around you. Smartphones are deeply personal, and Android 12 helps the entire phone adapt to you with Material You design language. It's the biggest design change in Android's history, where we've rethought the entire experience, from the colors, to the shapes, to the light and motion. The result is a more expressive, dynamic, and personal experience than ever before. We'll share some news on how you as developers can use this in just a bit. Android 12 also focuses on security by default, and that's part of a much larger investment across Android and Play in the security, safety, and trust space. With this release, we introduced Android's Private Compute Core, PCC, an open source, secure environment that is isolated from the rest of the operating system and apps, powering critical features such as Smart Reply, Live Caption, and Now Playing. We'll also continue to increase our investment in Google Play Protect, which now scans over 100 billion apps every day for potential risks. Over the past couple of years, we've continued to give users more controls and transparency when installing or using an application. Our next step will be the launch of a new data safety section in Google Play that informs a user of what data is collected and why before they install an app. All of us have a critical responsibility to our users to maintain their trust. When they are happy, we all succeed. Another big theme for us on Android is helping all of your devices work better together. Based on all of your feedback, we've recognized there's more we can do to help experiences that extend beyond the phone to an entire ecosystem of devices, including wearables, TVs, and cars. I'll share just a few examples of our efforts from the last few months. Today, 1 out of 3 smartphone users have a fitness tracker or smartwatch. Recognizing that, we have taken our collaboration with Samsung and mobile to the next level and launched an entirely new version of Wear OS. We also brought richer, more immersive app experiences to Wear OS with Google Play, YouTube Music, Google Pay, Spotify, Strava, Calm, and much, much more. And on TV, we have just launched one of our most requested features to date. Your Android phone has remote control features built in that can now be used for any of your Google TV or Android TV devices. We have also made major improvements to Android Auto for you to stay on track during your drive, including support for more app categories like navigation, EV charging, and parking. Finally, over the past 18 months, we've seen people around the world buy and use Android tablets, Chrome OS devices, and foldables more than ever before. In fact, there are over 250 million active large-screen Android devices. And last year, Chrome OS grew 92%, 5 times the rate of the PC market, making Chrome OS the fastest-growing desktop OS. With schools being online and individuals working from home, having a large-screen device that's easier to use for extended periods of time is essential. We'd like to thank all of you who have invested in making your apps work great on large screens. And we've also heard your feedback that you want us to go bigger on Android with large screens. So I've already said, Android 12 is one of our biggest releases in history. But today I'm excited to announce we're going even bigger. We're adding additional support for large screens in Android 12. Diana will be joining in a bit to share more details on this news. With that, I want to kick it over to my team, who'll be focusing on 2 big themes today. First, excellent apps, and the updates to our modern Android development offering to help you stay more productive so you can focus on building great applications. And second, helping you extend those apps across devices, as users want to experience the apps you all build on all the form factors they use on a daily basis. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, for building amazing experiences, and for inspiring us to make Android better every single day.
My name is Moyi Adeyemi, and I am a software engineer at Twitter and the Android tech lead for the search team. I'm also an Android GDE. I studied computer science with maths, and I learned a bit of programming fundamentals there, but my curiosity wasn't fully piqued until I saw some apps that my friends built, and I wanted to learn how to build that too. Being an Android GDE means that I now have a broader platform to contribute to the Android developer community. For modern Android development, the 3 things I use the most are Kotlin, Android Studio, and Compose. I started using Kotlin in 2017, some months before it became announced at Google I/O as the official language for Android development. I remember that I was very excited about that announcement that I gave a talk at the Google I/O Extended event in Lagos, introducing other developers to Kotlin. I love Kotlin because it's a lot less verbose. I like that immutability and null safety checks are built in, and it's a lot more fun to work with. One of my favorite features of Android Studio is the layout inspector. I like it because sometimes I need to make changes to another portion of the code base that my team doesn't own. And because of the size of the code base here, it's difficult to know sometimes exactly what classes you need to change. With the layout inspector, I can easily get an ID for one of the elements, and that reduces the amount of time I need to search. I've been using Compose in my personal project for a while now because it reduces the amount of time required to create a new project and because we no longer need to have separate XML files. In Compose, I'm most excited about the lazy row/column feature, which has replaced the recycler view and drastically reduced the amount of complexity required to work with dynamic lists. Some teams at Twitter are already using Compose in production, and I am excited for more teams to start using it too.
Hi, I'm Florina. When it comes to helping you build excellent apps, many of the best ideas on the Android team come from talking directly with you, our community of developers. Understanding how you work and how we can make our tools and services even better, so you can be more productive and focus on expressing your ideas. We called our expanding collection of development tools, APIs, language, and distribution technologies Modern Android Development, MAD for short. And is the culmination of 10 years of building Android developer tools and best practices. It's opinionated and powerful for fast, easy development, enabling you to create better apps that run across billions of devices. Modern Android development starts with great programming language support, Kotlin. Officially supporting Kotlin is an example of an investment that came directly from listening to the community. You love it? We love it? I love it. Today, of the top 1,000 apps, 87% contain Kotlin code, and even more, 40% use coroutines, our recommended solution for asynchronous work. New this year, we have our lifecycle-aware coroutines APIs, which are now stable. Use repeat on lifecycle and flow with lifecycle to stop collecting from the UI when it's not needed. But we're not stopping here. We're working on expanding our guidance on coroutines, flows, and app architecture. Kotlin Symbol Processing, KSP, our replacement for Kotlin Annotation Processing Tool, KAPT, is now stable. KSP offers similar functionality to KAPT, but with faster compilation time and direct access to Kotlin language constructs. Room saw 2 times improvement in compilation time when switching to KSP, and we're working on moving Dagger and Hilt to it as well. Our latest Jetpack libraries are built from the ground up using Kotlin. And one of the most exciting libraries right now is Jetpack Compose, Android's new modern native UI toolkit to help you build better apps faster. Compose is stable and ready for use in production. We built Compose to interoperate with your existing apps, and it's been exciting seeing the community adopting it so quickly. In fact, we're already seeing thousands of apps on the Play Store using Compose. Even the Play Store itself uses it. It's incredible seeing developers' reaction after working with Compose. They're telling us how easily they can create beautiful apps quickly, and how simple it is to add features like animations. Square's experience resonates with how I felt when I started using Compose. They told us, sometimes it's almost so simple, you expect it to be more complicated. Things just work. We're working to expand Compose support across all form factors, starting with home screen widgets and Wear OS. More on Compose and Wear OS later. We've been busy since the 1.0 release, building in the open and talking with you to ensure we're solving your problems. Today, Compose 1.1 goes beta with a range of performance improvements, new features, and tooling. We continued expanding the APIs with features like lazy layout animations, stretch over scroll for Android 12, improved touch target sizing, and more. We've added faster refresh for live edits to live literal values, so your changes show up on device, emulator, or preview as you type. We've also added Compose support to Android Studio's layout inspector, adding Compose-specific features like inspecting the semantics tree. But we're not done yet. We have so many features planned. Check out the public roadmap to see what's coming next. Now, we want to show you how this looks like in action. So over to Nick for a demo.
Thanks, Florina. Here's an app we've been working on to create our own Jetpack heroes. The UI is entirely made with Jetpack Compose, so it's been fast and easy to build. But don't just take my word for it. Let me show you how. For example, I've been wanting to see a list of our hero friends and all their Android dev superpowers. We can quickly iterate on an individual list item using Android Studio's preview. Here I have 3 previews of this friend item, allowing us to see it in light and dark themes and with a larger font. Compose previews can display near real-time updates of literal values. I can change padding values and the image size and see them update immediately. This works both on the device and in the preview. Live editing of literals produces a really fast iteration cycle, keeping me very productive. When I'm happy with an individual list item, Compose makes it so easy to display a list of items. To build our list of friends, we can use the lazy column composable to call our friends composable in an items block. And that's it. No more layouts, adapters, and view holders to manage. Well, one of my absolute favorite things about Compose is how much easier animations are to write. I want the items in this list to animate in. I can simply wrap the list in an animated visibility composable, which will animate the entire list entrance. I can also use the animated enter exit modifier on individual items. And here, let's add a staggered animation. I can switch my list to use items index to give me the index of each item. And then in the modifier, use this index to customize the slide in entrance animation. And like this, each item will enter from further out and then come together. Let's take a look in the experimental animation inspector. We can play back and scrub through the entire transition. Pretty nice. Compose also uses spring-based animations by default, so it's easy to configure the animation to add a slight bounce by reducing the damping. Hopefully this shows how marvelous Compose is for making you feel super productive. Over to Andre to tell us more about Material U.
Material U is a radical new design vision, focused on delivering experiences that are personal for every style, accessible for every need, and adaptive for every screen. Starting today, with Jetpack Compose, realizing this vision is even easier. In Android 12, the Material U experience is front and center. From the spirited shapes of the new widgets to the expressive use of motion and large type on the home screen, the updated visual design is fresh, alive, and original. The days of one-size-fits-all are long gone. People are eager to express their individuality and are seeking more personalized experiences in everyday life. For me, the most exciting thing about moving into a new home is going to the paint store and finding that color that will best represent my style and make me smile when I unlock the door. And when I get a new phone, the first thing I do is set my wallpaper. And so do about 60% of Android users. I typically choose some abstract art or a photo of my dog, something personal. By building a dynamic color palette from a device wallpaper, Material U creates a tailored experience that's reflective of the user's personality and applies it thoughtfully throughout their Android device experience. To get a feel for apps that support dynamic color, let's take a look at how we've applied it to the updated Google apps. The Gmail, Calendar, and Calculator apps are great examples of how we can maintain the recognizability of the apps and keep them feeling unique. We've updated the styling and improved the accessibility of our navigation components with new state indicators and color mappings, so your apps can be optimized to reach more people on more devices. Now that you've seen what apps with dynamic color feel like, let's talk about how to make them. Today, we're releasing a new version of our Material Components libraries for Android views and a preview of our Material U support in Jetpack Compose, which will help you quickly and easily create amazing, personalized app experiences. All of the updated components, design guidelines, and developer documentation can be found on the new Material Design 3 microsite at material.io. We understand this is a new way of thinking of color. In order to support your team, we're releasing Material Theme Builder, a new tool to visualize dynamic color in your app designs. With its built-in code export, it's easy to migrate to Material's new color system and take advantage of dynamic color. Material Theme Builder is available as a web tool and Figma plugin, which you can use today. All of these great Material U features are already available on Pixel devices with Android 12, and we're excited to roll it out to more devices in the Android ecosystem soon. Back to Nick to see this in action.
Material design and Compose, two of my absolute favorite things, teaming up to make it fast and easy to build beautiful Material U apps. I've got just the friend that can help update our app. Let me get an assist from our designer, Yasmin. Hey, Yas.
Hey, Nick. I saw the Material Design logo in the sky and came as fast as I could. I've been playing around with the Material Theme Builder and seeing how dynamic color may look within our app. I didn't know there was so much color in the whole galaxy. Applying dynamic color is going to give our app the extra boost it needs. But first, we need to migrate our themes to Material Design 3 to take advantage of all these beautiful colors. Let's create a custom theme. We can use the primary container color to highlight primary actions like this fab, which is now over 50% more fabulous, and use tertiary container color to heighten attention to an element, such as these power boosts. This is looking great. With its built-in code export, Nick can easily implement the new Material 3 theme and ensure dynamic color maps beautifully across our UI. Nick, are you ready to implement this?
Yes. After adding the Material 3 alpha dependency to our app, we can update our theme composable to work with dynamic color. We'll use dynamic color when running on Android 12, or at least S, and update our theme logic to use dynamic dark or light color scheme functions to retrieve a color scheme extracted from the device's wallpaper. And that's it. That's all I have to do to update my theme to use dynamic colors. The updated Material 3 components use these colors, so depending on the device's wallpaper, then the app gets completely different feel to go with it. Now, in the Material U videos, I noticed a fun wiggling slider. While this isn't part of a Material 3 library, this is Compose. Let's build it. I can fork the slider component and alter the rendering logic to draw a wiggly path instead of a straight line. What's more, Compose makes it super easy to even animate this. Let's alter the path using Remember Infinite Transition to add a wiggle. And we can see this right here in Studio in the interactive preview. Material U has made our app more personal and more fun. Back to you, Flo.
Now to my personal favorite, Jetpack. We've been working to add the features you've been asking us for. Navigation brings multiple backstack support. No code update needed. Just make sure you use the latest version. Work Manager, our recommended solution for persistent work, makes it easier to handle Android 12 background restrictions, adding support for expedited jobs. And Room adds auto migration and multi-map relations. Okay, now that I've got the mic, let me go deeper in Room auto migrations. The most common database operations can be handled out of the box, like adding columns or tables or primary keys. All you have to do is add an auto migration definition. For some changes like renaming a column or a table, you'll have to lend Room a hand and implement an auto migration spec. So you write 4 lines of code, not just 1. Okay, I can talk about Room all day, but let me tell you what's in store for 2 of our newer libraries. Data Store. Our coroutine-based replacement for share preferences has reached 1.0. Whether you prefer Preferences Data Store to store key value pairs or Proto Data Store to store typed objects, you will use Kotlin coroutines and Flow to store data asynchronously, consistently, and transactionally. So now that Data Store reached 1.0, start using it in production. Macro Benchmark, a tool to measure and improve startup and frame performance, added simplified and more accurate frame timing, and compatibility back to Android M. Finally, because we know that understanding your app's performance is important, we added support for profilable APKs in Android Studio to help you measure timings more accurately without the performance degradation of debuggable apps. So from Material U and Compose to the latest Jetpack libraries, that was a lot of modern Android development features to help you be productive, building excellent apps for your users. Now, back to you, Kari.
Thanks, Florina. Wow, all those updates to Compose and Android mean more apps that are in fact excellent. So while Team Compose was showing off their new bug blasters, I've been busy building a little gadget of my own. Check out the Carry 9000. Time for a beta test. Still working out the, bugs. Anyway, we'll check back with Nick and Yasmin in a bit. Plus, chat with Diana about how Android is helping developers build excellent apps across any device, including large screens and foldables. But first, our friends at Spotify will share with us how they've used Android to optimize their apps for wearables, large screens, and more. Looks like we're gonna need a bigger power supply. Wait, I have a laser glove.
Throughout recent decades, technology has made music more and more accessible.
It feels so strange to hold the medium in your hand like this. It's so retro. With the technology advances that we've been seeing, we're moving closer to our mission. We want our users to be able to listen wherever they are, whatever they're doing.
That's why with Google, we've developed a seamless experience across screen sizes and devices. We have a design paradigm that we call adaptive UI, modeled after Google's material design. This allows us to build for any shape and size of screen, so users have a completely uninterrupted listening experience. One great example is Spotify with Android Auto. To build Spotify for the car, we've had to balance the rich listening experience against our users' safety.
Playing the album Uplifting Songs on Spotify.
The ability for the user to ask the assistant to play anything they want is truly unique. Combined with Spotify's best-in-class understanding of what the user likes to listen to, makes the experience truly special.
We pride ourselves on knowing your musical taste better than you do.
Ubiquity is a really important principle for Spotify, making sure users' audio is available in every moment of their life.
No matter if you're listening from your mobile device, the speaker in your home, TV, gaming console, Wear OS allows you to change what you're listening to directly from your wrist, tying the Spotify ecosystem together.
Technology has changed over the decades, and that's made music and audio more accessible than ever.
We're finding a new level of human creativity where people are able to express themselves in ways that we couldn't have imagined a few decades ago. And that's a very exciting place to be.
A user's digital life includes multiple connected devices, and they expect all of their apps to transition seamlessly between them. Like we saw with Spotify, truly exceptional app experiences are no longer about developing for a single device, but across devices, building for the entire Android ecosystem. We are making it easier than ever to extend your app across form factors, with some big announcements to unfold today. But first, let's talk about how Android is thriving across auto, TV, wearables, and more. Android Auto is now available in over 100 million cars and is supported by nearly every major car manufacturer. Our newest in-car experience, Android Automotive OS, will be available on cars from top brands including Ford, General Motors, Renault, Volvo Cars, and most recently announced, Honda. To support this growing ecosystem, we recently introduced the Android for Cars app library, which allows developers of navigation, EV charging, and parking apps to bring these capabilities to Android for Cars. We're also excited about the growth for the Android TV OS, which now has more than 80 million monthly active devices globally. As Sagar mentioned, to help phones work better together with TVs, we've built remote control features for Android TV apps directly into Android phones and through the Google TV app. It's a great time to integrate your media apps with the Android TV OS. And when it comes to wearables, at I/O, we announced the launch of the new Wear OS, and it's become the platform's most anticipated release ever. The new Wear OS, powered by Samsung, has since launched on the Galaxy Watch 4 series with great success. Many developers have created helpful experiences for the latest version of Wear OS, and we're looking forward to richer, more immersive app experiences like what we're seeing from Strava, Spotify, and Calm. And they're already seeing higher engagement with these apps. Now on Wear OS, tiles are enabled for devices like the Galaxy Watch 4, providing predictable, glanceable access to information and quick actions. Take this example from Calm, giving users more entry points to access their app. The API is in beta for you to try out now. You asked for more modern Android development, and we're now making it easier than ever to develop on Android's smallest screen. Compose makes building UIs so much faster and easier, so we're bringing Compose support to Wear OS. You can design your app with familiar UI components adapted for the watch. After several alpha releases, we're now in a full developer preview with new samples and documentation to help you get started. Try it out and give us your feedback before we finalize APIs during beta. Even more modern Android, we've also been working on new Jetpack APIs and capabilities, like support for curved text and new health services. With these are a set of Kotlin-first APIs rewritten from the ground up. These are going to beta and stable, so the time to migrate to them is now. In partnership with Samsung, there's a new watch face studio which enables you to create watch faces in a WYSIWYG editor. So watch you see is watch you get. Lastly, we're making it even easier for people to discover and download your Wear OS apps when they open Google Play. We've added a new watch face search filter and category pages, allowing people to browse specifically for watch faces. We'll also be introducing Wear OS-specific ratings and reviews to give users a better impression of the experience on a watch. Finally, we're making our biggest ever investment in our large screens, such as foldables, tablets, and Chrome OS. We're incredibly excited about the innovation happening on foldables. They're redefining the future of mobile devices with new models from partners like Samsung, Microsoft, Xiaomi, and Motorola. We've seen more than a 2.5 increase in device sales this year, and it's easy to see why. Foldables put the power of a tablet right in your pocket. Speaking of tablets, usage in the home and at work has transformed in recent years, with an almost 20% increase in tablet sales that has continued throughout 2021. Users are doing more than ever on tablets, spending almost 10% more time than they did in 2019. Chrome OS grew 92% year over year, making it the fastest growing desktop OS in the world. With over 250 million active large screen devices, it's so important to ensure your app works across any size screen in any orientation. Large screen UIs present an opportunity to extend your existing phone app so users can see and do more. This is important for our own apps, such as Google Photos. We updated the Google Photos app to work well on large screens and saw an improvement in daily active users by as much as 53% for key features. It's time to break away from designing for a 16:9 portrait phone app and start building UI responsively. To help with that, we're releasing new features to make it easier for you to support large screens. Adopting Compose is a perfect opportunity to make your UI fully adaptive. All UI is described in code, and it's easy to make decisions at runtime about how your UI should look. No more reliance on resource qualifiers. We are releasing Material U navigation component support and implementations of large screen layouts and sample apps to help you understand how modern UI development should scale across screen sizes. We've heard from you that knowing what screen sizes to develop and design for is hard. So our new window size classes are an opinionated set of viewport breakpoints that will tell you what sizes are the most common, from phone to foldable, tablet, and desktop. You'll see these size classes across our design guidance and as APIs in Jetpack Window Manager 1.1. You'll also see new reference devices in Android Studio that make it easy for you to develop against all combinations of window size classes. There are many more updates, from support for new features like rear camera selfies in Jetpack Window Manager 1.1 to added testing capabilities and Gradle managed device testing in Studio. Let's see how it all works in practice.
To see how our app looks on larger screens, I'm going to switch to the new resizable emulator. This makes it easy to toggle between different display sizes without having to juggle multiple emulators. Looking at our app on foldable or tablet, we're not taking advantage of the extra space. Yaz, can we update our designs to be more responsive?
Material Design offers a number of adaptive design patterns that can work for us. Let's switch our bottom navigation bar to the navigation rail on larger screens to make it easier to reach. Also, I think we can use the list detail view pattern on the front screen to show more at once.
Compose, combined with Jetpack Window Manager, makes it easy to observe the device's window size class or folded state. I can then update my UI in response. For example, I've created a top-level scaffold to switch between showing bottom navigation bar on narrow screens and the navigation rail on wider screens. We can check the window size class and arrange things with rows or columns accordingly. We can show the friends list and the friends detail composables side by side in the expanded width state. We can even animate this change simply by animating the weight given to each pane. Composables encourage you to create reusable pieces of UI that are easier to rearrange or combine at runtime using Kotlin control flow. It's also much easier for individual composables to respond to the space they're given, like this screen, which switches from a list to a grid of sliders on wider screens. I've got an idea for how we can take advantage of foldable screens here. We can observe the folded state, and in tabletop mode, we can reposition our UI to work best in this posture. Check it out, Yaz.
Looks great. Moving our interactive components to the bottom of the screen will ensure we can make changes without toppling over the device on the tabletop. I can't stop folding and unfolding this. Now back over to you, Diana, to expand on large screens.
When developers have adapted their apps to fill the entire screen and be fully resizable, we've seen users spend more time in the app. Zoom has taken advantage of tabletop mode on foldables for hands-free video calls and are working to optimize their UI fully for split-screen usage and larger layouts on foldables and tablets. But with all the work developers are doing for large screens, you need an OS to match. So we're going big. Today, we're releasing a developer preview of an upcoming feature drop for Android 12, with updates added just for large screens. We call it 12L. We've been working with developers like you to understand what APIs you need and upstreaming changes from device makers that users love. 12L includes an API bump with a redesign of the OS for large screens, added multitasking support, and updated compatibility modes to make your app work better on large screens out of the box. Let's take a closer look. We've redesigned Android's UI from the ground up for large screens, scaling the UI to work with any screen size, including larger tablets. An optimized home screen layout, updated lock screen, and a 2-column notification shade are just some of the examples of how we elegantly transition from a folded exterior screen to a larger interior screen on a foldable. Users tell us they love multitasking on larger displays, from using split screen to doing more in apps. But we know that getting into split screen is not super discoverable today. So, we've added a new taskbar to make multitasking easier than ever. Now you can use the taskbar to switch quickly between apps, drag and drop to enter split screen, and swipe up to go back to home. We've also added more ways to enter split screen from the overview. In addition, we're helping users by automatically enabling all apps to enter split screen or multi-window mode, regardless of whether they're resizable. Even if you have yet to invest in optimizing for large screens, we've updated app compatibility modes on Android and Chrome OS. We've improved the user experience, and we better respect the device's orientation, letterboxing apps which don't support resizing or both portrait and landscape. With all of these changes, you should expect to see an increase in split screen usage and your app being used in windows of varying sizes, so it's important to make sure your app can adapt to this seamlessly. We're also making it simpler for apps to take advantage of the extra screen space, even if your existing application architecture still relies on multiple activities. With activity embedding coming in 12L and Jetpack Window Manager 1.1, you'll be able to display multiple activities side by side, so you don't have to re-architect your app to support list detail or other multi-pane app layouts. We're committed to making it easier to support large screen layouts through the platform and Jetpack. We've put so many features into the Android 12L feature drop. We encourage you to check it out in our developer preview dropping today on our emulator. For foldables, you'll see many of these features, including activity embedding, coming soon to the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. On tablets, you'll soon be able to load the developer preview on the Lenovo P12 Pro. Take a look as we gear up for public release in early 2022. We see this as a huge step forward in our support for foldables and tablets, and will incorporate more features for large screens into our regular releases moving forward. To make it easier for people to find the best app experiences, we've got new changes in play to recommend apps optimized for the large screen. This includes new checks to assess app quality, so we can feature large screen optimized apps and update search rankings to show the best possible apps for these devices. We'll also be introducing large screen specific app ratings so users can rate how your app works on large screens. These changes are coming in the spring, so we're giving you advance notice to get your apps ready now. Okay, there's so much for large screens. Let's do a quick recap. Available now are a bunch of developer APIs and tools to help you optimize your app for the 250 million large screen devices we have today. We're also dropping the developer preview of 12L features on the emulator. You can download it now to explore how your app will look with our upcoming updates. Soon, you'll be able to test out these features on real devices like the Lenovo P12 Pro and the Fold 3. And finally, 12L and Play Store updates will begin to ship to consumers in 2022. So get ready for the next wave of foldable and tablet devices. We're excited about this as the future of the Android ecosystem. But the best part of this is that so much of this applies to devices available right now. Expand how you're thinking about extending your app to the larger screen, try the new APIs and tools, and check out the 12L features to help you bring your app to foldables and tablets today.
That's all we've got time for today on the Android Show. But we've covered a lot, from Material U, now available in Compose, to Android 12, a brand new developer preview of Android for large screens and foldables. Want to learn more? You can read more at developer.android.com. So, the Android Show is winding down. But the Android Developer Summit is just getting started. We've just dropped over 30 technical sessions of Android developer content, so you can dig in at your own pace. Over the next 2 days, you've got a lot coming at you, including your opportunity to get your hashtag #AskAndroid questions answered live with the experts who built Android. Thanks for tuning into the Android Show. I'm Carrie Byron. Now, if you'll excuse me. Eco bug!